Coach's Show time, and this week, like we teed it up, we got General Manager of our Saskatchewan Roughriders, Jeremy O'Day, joining us. Jeremy, thanks for doing this on a Monday. I know the guys are off, but you guys are hard at work.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Let's go through the game in Calgary. First off, as a former player, ties to the team, obviously, as a general manager. Calgary is a good football team. Everyone is giving them credit. What, through your lens, what did you see in that game?
I think they played better than us. I thought that they played better up front, and I thought we started slow in the game. I thought we played one good quarter in the second quarter there, where we battled back and went in at half and took the lead at half. Was hoping that would bring some energy to the team going in after not playing a good first quarter. But unfortunately, they had a better second half than us, and just needed to play cleaner. And we were making mistakes that were uncharacteristic of our guys up until this point. And, but every week's different. Every opponent's different. Every week is going to have a different challenge. And proud of the guys of where we're at right now. Obviously, you're only as good as your last game, and we need to clean up the mistakes that we made in the game and get back on track. So we're just looking forward to Labor Day, and obviously a huge crowd, and getting back out there and getting back on track.
Jeremy, being at the game and watching from the stands, it was hard-fought football on both sides. Every yard, like there was running games, every yard, none of it was easy. Is there anything that Calgary did on Saturday that was new, or that maybe you weren't expecting from the game back in July at Mosaic? I'm not particularly involved with the game plan of what they've been doing offensively and defensively for the past number of weeks. I'm more involved at a different level than that, but obviously, from watching from a general manager standpoint, I think they had a game plan and came out, tried to run the football and did a nice job. We've had a lot of success stopping the run. I think throughout the whole season, we've done a good job of controlling the clock, and I think it was kind of a battle there with us, with them having some success in the run game, and us just having some mistakes here and there, a drop pass here and there, or a missed assignment up front, and those mistakes make all the difference in a game, and they're hard to overlook.
This one's a little bit weird because obviously you're an opponent of Calgary and you're probably going to see him again in the playoffs at some time. But just as a fan of the CFL for yourself and a general manager, to see them rebuild this team so quick with all the new guys they had coming in this year, similar to you guys last year, just as a GM and a fan of the league, it's great to see when a team can do that, though.
Yeah, unless it's against us, and then it's not so fun to see it. But ultimately, in our league, with the structure of contracts and the turnover of players, you have the ability to improve your team if you have a tough team, a tough season. So again, the strength of all the teams in our league are important. So it's difficult when you do see teams struggling, but ultimately every year there's going to be some teams that are going to lose more games than others. But there was a great crowd there. Our fans really turned out. It's nice to see that. I played back in the day when a lot of the stadiums were full, and you kind of just expected a full crowd. So it's nice to see that they had the fans in the stands, and like I said, our fans were equally as loud in that first half, and it's nice that they came out and supported us on the road. And unfortunately, we weren't able to get the job done.
Yeah, it was great to see all the Rider Green at McMahon on Saturday. That's probably one of their only sellouts they'll have all year. Probably with Labor Day, maybe there's two. A few weeks ago on the show, one of your former teammates, a guy named Darian Durant, said, in the West Division, it doesn't matter what the records are. Anybody can beat anybody. So if that was the message back then when you guys played together, is that still the message today that the coaching staff delivers to the players, to be like, throw records out the window? Because we're taking on a 5-4 Bomber team this weekend. Like anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
Yeah, I think it's almost the whole entire league, not just the West Division. I know that players that have played in the West will favor the West Division, and always look strongly about the West Division. Obviously, a great fan base coming out of the West, and but I would say that every week's a difficult challenge, no matter who you're playing, East or West. I think the West are just a little more hyped up because it's in your division, right? And so those are the rivalries that you have playing against divisional teams. But there is no tough games or no easy games in the CFL. Like I said, every team holds their challenges. Some teams will come in with more guys injured, or there'll be guys down on the roster that will maybe give you an advantage. But you're dealing with the same thing on your own roster. But West is always tough. Again, I think it's more so if you're just rivaling the teams you play more often than the ones in the East.
How busy is the next 48 hours or maybe 72, whatever it is, with NFL cuts coming down tomorrow? A lot of people talking about Kyle Hergel, last year's first-round pick, being released or going onto waivers with New Orleans. How busy is the next few days for you? Do you reach out to Hergel's camp right away when something like that happens? Maybe a look behind the curtain there, Jeremy.
Yeah. So first of all, a real busy time, because this is the time where the Negalists are very active with players going on and off. If you have some guys in the NFL like we do, obviously you're watching them. You've been watching them all preseason, but now today and tomorrow, and even a couple of days ago, were the times where teams are starting to release some of their guys from camp. So very busy. Moving guys around on your negotiation list. As far as the guys that we drafted, or even Joe that was on our roster last year, we just touch base with the agents, and in some cases you want to give them a little bit of space, because just because they were released from their team doesn't mean they wouldn't sign back on the practice roster. So it's pretty normal for the player's name to come up saying they've been released, and it's also important for us to not get too carried away moving everyone on and off the negotiation list, because the following day you'll see everyone that got put on the practice roster, and usually it's all the guys that you moved around on your negotiation list. So, but we'll know, kind of their guys, both their status here in the next 24 to 48 hours, and then we'll see if there's a conversation to be had with those guys.
Labor
so yes, is an answer. We reach out to them, and we stay in contact with them. Again, we don't want to step on anyone's shoes and stuff. And the other thing too is, other teams have the opportunity to claim them as well. If they have a spot on their practice roster, they had injuries, or they want to bring him in, or he did well enough in the preseason, they can sign him to their practice squad as well.
Labor Day is coming up on Sunday. The Bombers come to town. It's the 60th Labor Day Classic. Who was the quarterback in your first Labor Day Classic, and how did the game turn out? Like, what was that like for you as a player? Because there's going to be some players going through it for the first time this weekend.
That's a long time ago. I don't even know who the quarterback would be, to be honest with you. There was a bunch of different ones that I played in, but I think for me the most memorable would be the 07 Labor Day Classic with Kerry Joseph. We actually hit a QB draw at the end of the game to win the game up the middle there. And it was a huge game, exciting game. I've been in Labor Day games where we've won on game-winning kicks. I've been in just all sorts of different things have happened on Labor Day. But it's just exciting. I mean, I go back all the way into the old stadium where, people were standing on the grass for the Labor Day game, and they were, putting people in standing room only. So it's going to be a packed house, and I'm excited for it. Bill Country's going to be overflowing probably, which is awesome. But it's just a great rivalry. If you can't get excited for this game, then you shouldn't be involved with football.
Exciting. I heard, was it on the bye week that you guys did some tours of some NFL camps, and you went down and checked out some NFL preseason games? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it just this year just worked out well with our bye that the NFL camps were kind of in full swing, and the camps they don't have as much time as they used to have, where you could go down and visit. So they're a little bit more compacted than they were back in the day. But I haven't been able to get out in a couple of years, but it worked out perfectly with our bye week, and we were actually in Montreal the week before. So we just kind of flew out of Montreal there, and all our scouts were already out on the road, but I got to go out to 3 NFL camps and a preseason game. So it kind of takes you back to where it all started when you got to go out and do the scouting, and really fun part of the job when you can go out and start looking for future riders and looking at guys that are potential guys to put on your negotiation list, or guys that you just want to track and have their names available. So the NFL teams usually treat us really well. They bring you in and let you watch practice and let film, and then of course you meet with their their personnel department, kind of give you a laydown of the roster, and kind of an early look of what they think like the roster would look like at the end of camp. So you kind of get an idea of who you should be looking at when you talk to them.
Is that the great thing about football, that no matter the league, it seems like it's a real brotherhood of people trying to help people succeed, no matter in what role or how they do it?
Yeah, I think so. I think, if the football world is a big world, but it's a small world, if that makes sense. There's a lot of football that's out there, but there's also, a close-knit group of people, and, a lot of people, whether they've been in your shoes before or where they came from, they're usually pretty helpful. And, and sometimes it's vice versa too. They also understand that at some point they're going to want to talk to you about some of your players, right? So it's kind of give and take, and most of them are very receptive. There's some that are, they're just more secretive. They don't want you to see their schemes and their game plans, and you're not actually there to look at any of that. You're just there to evaluate the player and try to get a good scouting network of players for down the road. So, but most of them are excellent. You can say that some are maybe better than others, but most of them are very welcoming and let you attend practice and watch film. So it's always a fun time of the year.
Is that reciprocated at all? Like when you think about it on your end, like are the university coaches coming up, hanging out with you guys at times, or any of the junior coaches, anything like that?
I'd say not as much as you would expect. I know that in training camp, we open our doors to junior coaches and the U Sports, the university coaches. Maybe the U of S guys, they just probably come out and just watch practice because they're there all the time, but not as much as you expect. But we certainly welcome them in the same way as the NFL teams allow us to come in. We allow them to come in as well through training camp and watch practice, and in some cases attend meetings, which is always a good thing when we're trying to develop young coaches as well.
We haven't had you on since the big announcement was made a few weeks ago that there's going to be a preseason game in Saskatoon. First one since 1991, which is kind of mind-boggling to think it was that long ago. How exciting is this? I mean, you've done the training camp thing in Saskatoon as a player, now as in management. I think it's great to give the people of Saskatchewan or Saskatoon North a taste of Rider football that maybe don't make it to games in Regina.
I think it's awesome. I think it's so cool. When I first heard about it, I thought that was a great idea. Obviously, it helps with the situation of us getting another game at the stadium. So the season ticket holders are getting kind of rewarded, but it gives everyone in Saskatoon an opportunity to come to a CFL game. And obviously, there's challenges with holding a game outside of your city, but we're going to be there for training camp. So for us, it will be pretty seamless for us. But the game day will obviously have a lot to do with work there. But, I think we've always said this with our team that it's ultimately, it's very important for us to be outside of just Regina and making sure that everyone knows that we're Saskatchewan's team. And, it's a big reason why we do go to training camp in Saskatoon, just to show people throughout the province that we want to be out in the community as much as possible, which is a great thing, and gives them an opportunity to come out and watch practice, see our guys up close, and just bring a sense of belonging to everyone in Saskatchewan.
I'll end on this one because I remembered the question. I was like, next time we get Jeremy O'Day on, I got to ask him this question. You brought in Campbell Fair to do some kicking last week. He puddle jumps to get to Regina. Dave Thomas had a great story on that, how hard it was for him to get here. When you have to go out and get these guys, Jeremy, maybe you released them after camp. is it difficult a lot of times that these guys have maybe moved on? Do they let you know that, okay, I'm going to take that accounting job maybe, or I'm not going to be, staying in shape? How does that work? I've always wondered that, right? Because a lot of guys move on with life. Do you keep in touch with a lot of them, or you just reach out? How does that work?
Yeah, we try to keep in touch with as many as possible, but you also want to be careful of that, because you don't want to have any false expectations that you're going to bring them at some point, and so you don't want to promise something that's not going to happen. But you keep tabs on all the guys. But you're right, and ultimately, until you get to a point where you're going to offer a guy a practice roster or a contract, you don't know exactly what they're doing at that point. And so, there's a little bit of a, interview process when you call them. What have you been doing? Have you been staying in shape? And this case, have you been kicking? And I can tell you that every time they always say, I'm in great shape. I've been working out all the time. I've been practicing all the time. And then, and then of course they're probably still working a job as well. Right. So you always, you don't, I don't even, it's to the point where I don't know why we even ask, because you're always going to get the same answer when you do ask. Everyone's always ready. Trevor Harris and I actually have a joke that, every time I call him, he says, I'm just leaving the gym. And so when he sees me, regardless of the timing of the day, he just tells me, I just got out of the gym. And I said, if I had a quarter every time I called a player and they told me they were just leaving the gym, I'd be all set. But they just want it
back in the day.
I don't know. I lived in town, so they knew if I was in the gym or not. So, but it's a standard answer, and it's they just want you to know that they're prepared and they're ready for the opportunity. So every situation is different, right? Because you're right. Some guys might have had to move on. Maybe they've been chasing it for a while and they had to get a regular job. But then you call and they're like, "Oh no, I want to go back and play football," and then they leave their job, which is a whole nother animal. But we try to stay in touch with them. Our personnel department does a good job trying to keep tabs on the guys, keep them fresh, and then you're ultimately when you come down and you offer them, that's when you know if they're really serious or not.
Well, like Maz said, it's Labor Day weekend. It's going to be exciting. Always appreciate you making time to hop on, Jeremy, and good luck this weekend and the rest of the season, obviously.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. Let's go. Labor Day Classic. You got to love the Labor Day Classic. So go Riders.
With a 5 o'clock kickoff, there's a lot of time to pregame show before the football game actually gets underway on Sunday.
Well, I say it all the time when I get asked, you like the early games or the later games? And I say I like the later games because there's a little more partying going on before the game starts. So hopefully our crowd brings the noise and we play well for them.
Right on. I'm sure they will. Thanks, Jeremy. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.